The other day I was chilling at my house and I was thinking, wow, my girlfriend loves me so much, she told me she found 5 other dudes that reminds her of me and decided to have sex with all of them that night. So if they all remind her of me, that means she loves me the most out of anybody in the entire world. And I voiced this opinion to my girlfriend and her boyfriend that coincidentally enough reminded her of me. And this dude said I'm the biggest moron of all time. He then tripped me, pantsed me, and made out with my girlfriend. So with that being said, speaking of morons, let's talk about the people who believe Aaron Rodgers is the GOAT. There is no possible way Aaron Rodgers can be the GOAT. But before I really elaborate more on this opinion, this is Zaza Sports. Let's get into this video. Whoa, 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 whoa! If you don't want to end up in an elevator with Ray Rice, like, comment, subscribe. Now let's get into this video. Aaron Rodgers, there's nothing he can't do on the field. He might be the most talented quarterback in NFL history, but for some reason, some Aaron Rodgers fans can't understand that talent is different from being the greatest. He is simply not the GOAT. He might be the most complete and talented quarterback ever. He might be one of the most efficient ever, but there's way more to the GOAT argument than talent and efficiency. The GOAT convo has historically leaned resume plus stats plus winning at the highest level, something a lot of quarterbacks have done better than Aaron Rodgers. And with that being said, let's really dig deep, and I'm going to start off with his playoff lapses. Simply put, he's not a playoff raiser like other quarterbacks are that I have above him. Not in the sense of statistics, because statistically speaking, Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest playoff quarterbacks of all time. It's about who consistently produces the most value in the biggest moments, because guys like Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, and Joe Montana repeatedly overcame imperfect situations. Brady consistently added enough value to secure wins and keep his team in the Super Bowl race for 20 plus years and came back 28-3, an imperfect situation. Mahomes has won games like the 13-second drive and multiple Super Bowl runs despite weak defenses or average weapons. Montana delivered nearly flawless postseason runs like 1989 where he threw 11 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, forcing his play and his team to be perfect. He also delivered on the drive against the Cincinnati Bengals to throw the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl, and he also has the most iconic throw in NFL history in the catch, which sent the San Francisco 49ers to their first Super Bowl in franchise history. Imperfect situations becoming perfect because of good quarterback play. And too often in imperfect situations, Aaron Rodgers' seasons end. While making an imperfect situation perfect is great, because you're a great quarterback is important, but you don't get more credit for losing in an imperfect situation than you do while winning in a good situation. Point blank, period. And while in 2010, Aaron Rodgers had one of the greatest playoff performances by an individual of all time, through a 4-game span going 4-0, having a 68% completion percentage, 1,094 yards, 9 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. This is one of the only times in his NFL career where he would play better in the playoffs than he did in the regular season. And simply put, the guys I have above him in Tom Brady, Joe Montana, and Patrick Mahomes have multiple playoff runs with this kind of gaudy stats, not just one like Aaron Rodgers. And of course, as we all know, this one playoff run will lead to Aaron Rodgers' one and only Super Bowl appearance and Super Bowl trophy. And it's really not like this was his only shot at a Super Bowl. If he could put up a performance like this in one of these other playoff games, he would have more than one. An example would be the San Francisco 49ers versus the Green Bay Packers in the 2014 playoffs, where the offense lost 23-20 and Green Bay would only put up 20 points in the game. While Kaepernick did rip the Green Bay Packers defense a new asshole, there was plenty of moments that Aaron Rodgers could have raised his level of play to the greatest quarterback of all time like people claim and win this game, and he simply did not do that. Aaron Rodgers would go 17 for 26, 177 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. He had a 97 passer rating, but that's not enough to win the game, especially if you're expected to elevate your play. And if you really compare this to Patrick Mahomes, who is way younger but already has a resume that I think surpasses Aaron Rodgers, there's never been a team against Patrick Mahomes that only put up 23 and their team takes a loss, because Patrick Mahomes elevates his style of play in the playoffs. Fair or unfair, that's how it works. And then you got the 2014 NFC Championship. A lot has been said about this game, and in the biggest moment of the season, when your best quarterback, the greatest quarterback in NFL history according to a lot of Aaron Rodgers fans, is supposed to raise his level of play, did not. The ball was bouncing the Green Bay Packers way all day. Russell Wilson went abysmal 14 for 29, 209 yards, and threw 4 interceptions, and Aaron Rodgers didn't do enough to capitalize. He would go 19 for 34, 178 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions on a 55 passer rating, and lose the conference championship. While he wouldn't single-handedly lose this, as the NFL MVP, the greatest quarterback of all time, on the best offense in the league with Randall Cobb, with Jordy Nelson, to only put up 22 points against a team whose quarterback threw 4 interceptions is a failure. And then you got the 2021 divisional round. Aaron Rodgers just won his 4th MVP. The Green Bay Packers are the #1 team team in the NFC, and they faced the San Francisco 49ers in the divisional round, a team that barely squeaked into the playoffs. And while Aaron Rodgers didn't necessarily play bad, he still didn't do enough to win this game. The Packers were highly favored, and against the San Francisco 49ers, Aaron Rodgers would go 20 for 29, 225 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions on a 91.9 rating, and would lose the football game to the underdog San Francisco 49ers, and the Green Bay Packers would lose 13-10, only putting up 10 points against the San Francisco 49ers in 2021. A team that went 10-6, mind you, is a disappointment no matter how you frame it. Aaron Rodgers has had opportunity after opportunity in the playoffs, and he's yet to seize the moment since 2010. And yes, while Aaron Rodgers' defense has failed him multiple times in the playoffs, giving up 45 to the Arizona Cardinals, giving up 40 plus to the San Francisco 49ers, and letting Larry Fitzgerald basically run an 80-yard touchdown through their whole defense, this doesn't excuse the times where he had the perfect opportunity to win the game, he had perfect opportunity to seize the moment, and he simply didn't do that. He couldn't raise his play and win his team another Super Bowl. And really, I consider Patrick Mahomes the third greatest quarterback ever, and as the third greatest quarterback ever in 8 years, if you consider Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes' resume and put them side by side, Patrick Mahomes absolutely washes Aaron Rodgers, and it's not really close. Statistically, Aaron Rodgers might have the lead, but I'd argue on a per-throw basis, Patrick Mahomes is just as regular season dominant as Aaron Rodgers. Patrick Mahomes has more playoff passing touchdowns than Aaron Rodgers. He has 4 less interceptions, he has a higher passer rating, and he even has higher efficiency metrics as an EPA per play. But if you can't see a difference between how they perform in the playoffs, you are absolutely blinded. Because while Aaron Rodgers had to carry horribles and subpar defenses, Patrick Mahomes had absolute god-awful defenses and elevated his play unlike Aaron Rodgers. The Chiefs' defense in 2022 was ranked number 20 overall, and in the playoffs, Patrick Mahomes absolutely elevated his play. He won a Super Bowl MVP while winning MVP this year. He had a 72% completion percentage, 703 yards, 7 touchdowns to 0 interceptions on 114.7 passer rating. And guess what? When the defense gave up 35 points in the Super Bowl, guess which quarterback got 38 for them? Just like Aaron Rodgers, he didn't have a good defense, but guess who delivered and made the imperfect situation perfect? And if I have him as my third greatest quarterback of all time, how can you argue with me that Aaron Rodgers is the GOAT? And like I said earlier, the GOAT debate favors resume plus stats plus winning at the highest level. Resume, Patrick Mahomes has 3 Super Bowl MVPs. That's the second of all time. He has the second most passing touchdowns in the playoffs. Winning at the highest level, Patrick Mahomes has 3 Super Bowls to Aaron Rodgers 1. The only thing Aaron Rodgers gets is stats and regular season performance. But if you're only better at 1 out of the 3 things that favors the GOAT, what does that tell you? Now let's get on to Joe Montana. In my opinion, the second greatest quarterback of all time. Now I'm gonna say it flat out, when it comes to regular season dominance, when it comes to regular season awards, Aaron Rodgers beats Joe Montana. Adjusted for era, Joe Montana is one of the greatest regular season quarterbacks of all time, but you could drop Aaron Rodgers stats into any era and it would be dominant, even with less volume. But with that being said, Joe Montana almost does the same thing that Patrick Mahomes does in making an imperfect situation perfect, something Aaron Rodgers simply can't do. He elevates his style of play, so when his team is down, when his team is imperfect, he can correct it and make his team perfect. By not playing just average, but playing like you're one of the greatest of all time. Something Aaron Rodgers struggles with. Like I said earlier, his 1989 playoffs. Perfect game after perfect game after perfect game. Something not only Aaron Rodgers couldn't replicate, but no quarterback in NFL history can replicate. And I'm just going to give you a rundown of this fast, considering I have a whole 52-minute video explaining why this playoff run is great, basically. But in the 1989 playoffs, in 3 games, Joe Montana went 3-0. He had a damn near 80% completion percentage, 800 yards, 11 touchdowns to 0 interceptions on a blistering 146.4 passer rating. He won Super Bowl MVP, having the greatest performance in Super Bowl history, throwing 5 touchdowns against the Denver Broncos that only allowed 13 passing touchdowns all year. And objectively, this 1989 playoff run is a better playoff peak than Aaron Rodgers ever had in his entire career. And while Joe Montana's defense was playing really good, there has been multiple times in Joe Montana's career where his defense gave up points, where he was in an imperfect situation, and he corrected it way more than Aaron Rodgers. He raised his style of play, like I've been saying, and he got the job done. Such as the 1981 NFC Championship. If you don't already know, in the 1981 NFC Championship, the 49ers were down late against Dallas. Their season on the line, facing one of the most pressure-packed drives in NFL history. Montana had no room for error, no margin for mistakes, and instead of shrinking, he delivered the most iconic drive of his era, marching down the field and throwing the catch to Dwight Clark. That's what elevating looks like, taking an imperfect, desperate situation and making it perfect through your play. That's the difference between Montana Montana and Rodgers. Rodgers has had playoff games where things go wrong around him, but too often when the environment isn't perfect, the offense stalls and the season ends. Aaron Rodgers often needs things to go right. Montana makes things go right. And while winning and elevating your play in imperfect situations holds more weight than elevating your play in good situations, not elevating your play at all in imperfect situations does not outweigh winning in a good situation, point blank, period. You might say Montana had the better roster. You might say Montana had the better coach, and I would have to agree. But like I said, losing doesn't matter more than winning, no matter what kind of roster you have around you. Historically in the GOAT debate, that's just not how it works. And if we're holding losing and putting up good stats in an imperfect situation to a higher tier than winning in a good situation, your top 10 quarterback list would look goofy as hell. So like I did with Patrick Mahomes, resume-wise, Joe Montana has 4 Super Bowls, 3 Super Bowl MVPs, he has the same amount of playoff passing touchdowns, he has a better playoff peak, and winning at the highest level, it's not even close, it's a wash. On a per-throw basis, Joe Montana is the greatest Super Bowl performer of all time. And then for regular season dominance, as in stats, that goes to Aaron Rodgers. Again, Montana is better at 2 out of the 3 things that qualifies you to be the GOAT. And those 2 out of 3 things, he did it on a 10 times greater level than Aaron Rodgers. But now, let's get to Tom Brady. This should be quick. I'm about to blow my fucking brains off because I have to talk about Tom Brady and how fucking great he is. If you watch this channel at all, especially for an extended period of time, you know how I feel about Tom Brady, aka the child kisser. I think he is one of the luckiest quarterbacks in NFL history, if not the luckiest. Through all 7 of his Super Bowls, he had a top 10 defense. Through his first 3 Super Bowls, he was not the main reason his team won. But it's just the volume and quality of his wins, fair or not, that makes him the greatest quarterback of all time. He was in the perfect situation for 99.9% of his career, but he continuously showed up in the biggest moments when it mattered most. From his first Super Bowl where he led a game-winning drive to clinch the Patriots' first Super Bowl, all the way to his last Super Bowl where he won Super Bowl MVP, his career is ridiculous. And not to mention, in the regular season, statistically, he is very close to Aaron Rodgers. I believe Aaron Rodgers is a better regular season performer, at least on a per-throw basis. But if you look at the volume of their numbers in the regular season, you could argue Tom Brady's better. But with that being said, when it comes to stats and regular season-wise, I give the edge to Aaron Rodgers. But when it comes to the playoffs, Tom Brady just might be the greatest playoff performer because of the volume of playoff games he's been in. He has by far and away the most passing touchdowns, most passing yards, most Super Bowls, and most Super Bowl MVPs. All of those are not even close. Yes, he had a top 10 defense. Yes, he was in the perfect situation. But because he is just 1 in 1 of a quarterback being in the perfect situation for 20 plus years of his career, it's almost impossible to not give him the GOAT. And not to mention, he also does have legendary moments. His 28-3 comeback, his game-winning drives in his first 2 Super Bowls. But like I said, this is going to be very quick because he is literally the opposite of Aaron Rodgers. And just because he was in a one-on-one situation, and just because he played forever having the most passing touchdowns, having the most passing yards in NFL history, you have to give him the GOAT resume. He also has 3 MVPs, and he has 7 Super Bowls in total. But yeah, it's not really close. Tom Brady clears Aaron Rodgers in almost all 3 of the categories that qualifies you to be the GOAT. But with that being said, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all boys later. Peace.